Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the November 12th, 2024 Hamilton Township Council meeting to order. This meeting is held with benefit of public notice as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Papero?
Here.
Ms. Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Whalen?
Here.
Mr. Ty?
Here.
Mr. Carabelli?
Here.
All are present.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's please rise and join us in the salute to the flag, and please remain standing for the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, you are our creator and source of hope. Give us the wisdom and the generosity to impact positively and improve the lives of our family, friends, and community. Let us pray for those experiencing loss, especially those suffering with depression and addiction during this Thanksgiving holiday. As always, bless this township, and may we as a government represent the best interest of our community. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
And God bless you. No. So our first action this evening is to recess as the Township Council and convene as the Board of Health. So can I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second? Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Papero?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Here. Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes. Yes.
Just in case we weren't sure.
Yes. We have Director Kathy Fitzgerald with us, with our health officer, Chris Helwig. Thank you both for being here this evening. And want to start off with just giving you a little bit of an update, and then if we have any questions from our council body, we'll proceed like that. Does that sound good?
Sounds wonderful.
All right.
So, good evening all. As always, it is with great pride and pleasure we come before you this evening to present our report to the Hamilton Township Board of Health. The Hamilton Township Division of Health is dedicated by maintaining the health and well-being of all of our residents and visitors by means of prevention, health promotion, and education. This evening, we will provide you with an update on our public health goals and objectives, the progress on our journey towards national accreditation, and a more detailed information on our environmental section as well as other sections and the accomplishments of the department. To keep up to date on the accomplishments of the Division of Health, we invite our board members and our residents to take a moment to visit our township website and read the Division of Health's annual report. Our health officer will provide each of you with a hard copy at the end of the year. In addition, our Animal Shelter and Adoption Center posts monthly updates and statistics on our webpage. Our health department staff continues to provide state-mandated services, and our animal shelter staff continues to provide the best quality of care to the animals in our shelter. The animal shelter has been and continues to be a top priority of this administration, as well as one of the health department's highest priorities. We are very proud that through the hard work, we have essentially turned around the operation of the shelter performance and delivered positive results. We have received numerous accolades through the past several years, but we are also not without some questions and criticism regarding operations. In our animal shelter, many tasks are accomplished with a lot of hard work, passion, and dedication. Tasks that have been accomplished in addition to the care of the animals, which is our top priority, has been the development of detailed policies and procedures, exceptional record keeping, and shelter internal controls. Oversight is provided daily, and management continues to evaluate, reevaluate, and revise policies as needed. The shelter operations and environment is an extremely sensitive operation due to the high emotional level and passion of our staff necessary to care and provide a nurturing and loving environment for the animals. Imagine if you have or had a pet at home, the relationship you develop, the trust, the concern, and the genuine love that is a result of the care you provide to that animal. Each staff member has a direct daily contact with these animals, and even the support staff that helps in a different way all develop a special relationship with each animal in our shelter. Unfortunately, some of our animals may not have the relationship in the shelter we would all desire for them to have. But as with humans, each animal has their very own personality, temperament, and behavioral traits. It can be very frustrating and stressful for the staff as well as the shelter animal when this type of relationship cannot be formed. Prior to this evening's meeting, several managerial directives have been issued and implemented. We not only hope to provide the members of the board the answers to any questions that they have presented to us. In addition, I asked Chris to reach out to two of our most faithful animal advocates to ask if they had any questions for tonight's meeting. This approach will hopefully offer transparency and provide all concerned parties a clearer picture of the shelter operations and oversight. This evening, I have requested that our health officer provide us with something different, a visual PowerPoint, because sometimes it's a visual learning, not just a listening learning that we see. And so he's going to provide us with that information. Hopefully he addresses past and present questions and can provide us an update with all of the divisions and sections within our health department. At the conclusion of Chris's report, if you have any additional questions or need further clarification, Danielle Joya, our shelter manager, has also joined us and hopefully can provide any answers that Chris nor I can provide. At this time, I'd like to offer Chris to provide his report, and I ask you to focus on our PowerPoint presentation.
All right. Good evening, Board of Health and residents. I know normally I print out a memo and made it available to everybody to have, but we were running a little late today, so we just have the PowerPoint for everybody to take a look at today, and hopefully it won't be death by PowerPoint, I swear. So just as a quick overview of where we'll go today, I'll give everybody a brief update on where the division on the health side stands through accreditation, COVID-19 after action reporting, our strategic plan, and then finally an animal shelter update. So starting with the environmental section, our annual inspections do remain on schedule. Our goal is to complete the retail food inspections by the end of November, which has been our goal for the last number of years. So the vast majority of the inspectors' work should be wrapping up shortly, but we are also seeing a great increase in the number of temporary and mobile food establishments that we've been working with through events at the farmers market that's now in town, the brewery that has opened up who has weekly food trucks, and then also ongoing school events and other special events that have food trucks and temporary food that does need to be continuously get inspected as we have new arrivals coming into town month after month and week after week. So that's been a big uptake in after-hours inspections from the inspectors. We're also seeing an increase in nuisance and rodent complaints, especially over the last couple of months here in town, which the inspectors do go out and help address those issues for our residents, and they keep track of all of those complaints in See-Click Fix. So if any resident does have any kind of nuisance or public health concerns, they can always submit a ticket in See-Click Fix, and they can track it easily through that process, which has been working out really great. On the nursing side, we are in respiratory virus season. Now is the best time to get your annual flu and COVID vaccines. It does take about 10 days to 2 weeks for vaccines to be fully effective, and that puts us right at Thanksgiving. So I would hope that everyone does not want to bring the flu or COVID to dinner this year. So please try to get your annual flu and COVID vaccine scheduled if you have not already ASAP. We do have plenty of flu vaccine available at the health department that we offer at no charge to residents, although we do ask for insurance information because we do seek reimbursement, but there's no out-of-pocket costs for residents. COVID vaccine, right now, the best opportunity is to get that through your local pharmacy. We do expect over the next couple of weeks to be able to get state purchased vaccine to continue doing home visits to our most at-risk. But our nurses are, out in the field doing, we have 3 more clinics, flu clinics this month, and they're also doing home visits as well.
Chris, where are they, I'm sorry to interrupt, where are they going to be located and when are they going to be located?
I believe Senior Center in Nottingham, but I can pull up the list towards
Okay.
the end to make
Okay.
sure that
They're
we
on
have
the
it.
website.
They're on the
They're on the website?
Yeah. And in the township calendar as well.
Excellent.
There are two other vaccines, the RSV vaccine, which came out last year, which is something that, our older residents or, pregnant or new moms might want to consider, considering those are the most at risk. And then also the pneumonia vaccine, which recently had an eligibility change. So it has been lowered to 50 years and older residents are able to get that vaccine. Which is something that the health department does provide. So if you have questions, you can either talk to your provider or give our nurses a call. Already this year, we've exceeded STD patients in our clinic compared to last year. So we are on target for a record number of patients seen in our clinic. I think that's due to we've seen across the nation a rise in STD rates, but also just the expanded knowledge of the services and the great services that our nurses do provide to the residents of our shared service municipalities. And we consistently get very high marks of the services that they're receiving there, both through CHC, the Child Health Clinic, and then also our adult health services as well. We know that all of this costs money, and we are trying to continue to onboard new insurance companies that we are credentialed with. Currently, we're still credentialed with Aetna and Medicare, and we do seek reimbursement for our flu vaccine and pneumonia vaccine services, but we are working with a provider to try to onboard additional insurance carriers to increase the insurance rates to make sure that at least those clinical services do get offset, or if not, possibly even make revenue for the township to offset some of those costs. And then additionally bringing on down the road, hopefully submitting for insurance for other services that we're providing, such as childhood-led or the Vaccines for Children program, which are all stuff that we can seek reimbursement for. So that's something down the road that we're looking to utilize. On the administration side, we are preparing for the 25 licensing year. So we have our GovPilot modules for dog licensing, retail food, and mobile temporary food establishments, which has all been working very well and has helped kind of streamline and make sure that we're moving faster through those processes to allow residents to get their license and businesses to get their licenses sooner. It also saves trips, and that way people don't have to come into the health department, come into the shelter to access those licenses. You don't have to mail in forms, you don't have to mail in money. It can all be done seamlessly through the online module. We are looking to add, and we've purchased 4 additional modules moving into the next few years. So we'll have a total of 8. 2 of those have been earmarked for the animal shelter to improve data collection and service requests. And then 2 kind of are outstanding, and we're still working on what we'll be using those empty modules for. Our main health grant will sunset June 30 of 25. So, while we've had that for 3 years, it's helped not just us at the Health Division of Health, but it's also helped the Senior Center, the Fire Department, Police Department offset some of their costs. And we're looking at other divisions as well to purchase stuff that we know that in the health side that we help take advantage and also improves public health in the entire township. The main thing that we've been providing both fire and PD are AEDs. We've purchased new AEDs for both of those departments, and along with us as well and the health side. So we all have all new AEDs throughout the township, as well as we
Chris,
also.
can you just refresh my memory what
Yes.
AED stands
Yes,
for?
automatic external defibrillator. So that is
Thank
the
you.
device that if you are having cardiac arrest or that will help shock you and reset the rhythm of your heart. And we are also looking for a new grant. We submitted it for an ASPCA grant. So there was finally a animal shelter grant that was open to municipal shelters, because most are closed to governmental shelters. So fingers crossed in December, we'll have a nice Christmas gift for the animal shelter there, should we get awarded that.
Chris, what does that go towards?
I put in, so that was for psychological improvement. So it is a competitive grant, so there's no guarantee that we'll get it, but I did put in for redoing our two dog run exercise pens in the back, so allowing for safe enclosure. So there'll be two gates, so the animals could come in, there'll be two gates, and then they can leave, and then also resurfacing and putting in grass instead of just the cinder or the blue rubber mulch that's there currently. And then some other sound deadening material for the indoor kennels, and then some just staff training and resources for residents as well. So moving on to accreditation. So I am super excited to let our residents and board know that we did submit for all of our documentation to the accreditation board back in October. So what we did was we submitted a total of 203 examples of documents, policies, plans that were uploaded that best represented our work across the 10 domains that FAB recognizes. So as far as where are we and next steps go. So as of this month, we were assigned an accreditation specialist. So what they're doing is digging through all of those 200 plus documents to make sure that they do indeed meet the measures that they're looking for. But this is going to take time. So it'll take time for them to review all of those documents. So it's not something that we're looking to hear back from for at least till the end of the year / the beginning of New Year because of the holidays. After that, they'll come back to us and they'll give us their corrective action plan if we have one. And we'll have 45 days to respond to those questions or provide additional documentation. After that, there will be a site visit. So they will come, one or two specialists will come here to the division. They will interview staff. They will look at all of the documents in person that we've seen. They will also tour the facility, and they'll do interviews with not just on the health side, but also on the township side as well, to make sure that the town administration is in alignment with what we're doing, has buy-in, because a lot of the documents that we did have to support, they're not just health, but they're overarching governmental, organizational system type documents that we have to submit to them to show that we are actually working efficiently and in good faith and providing good services to our residents. So one of those documents that we had to submit was an after action report. We actually have to submit 2 after action reports, but the main one that we were able to finish was our COVID-19 after action report, which I did submit to and transmitted to the board a few months ago. And after this meeting, I will post on our website so the public will have access to the entire report for the COVID-19 after action report, so they can read through and see where we did really well and where we have areas for improvement. So really the main purpose for an after action report is really to identify our strengths and weaknesses, learn from our mistakes, create best practices, and plan for the future. For the purpose of this report, it was really through the beginning of the pandemic, 2020, through the end of 2022. That's the period that we looked at and this report covers. So what does that process look like? So we hired an outside consultant. We partnered with Emergency Preparedness Solutions to develop this AAR. We wanted it to be non-biased and really to make sure that we had a good, honest look at what we did during the pandemic and how we responded. So that's why we chose to utilize an outside consultant. That consultant conducted document reviews. So they asked us basically for everything that we did, and we just uploaded it and gave them a giant tranche of files. They sorted it, looked through everything, our files, our memos, different directives, and then also facilitated focus groups, with our staff, with the administration, with our partners, to also get a better idea of the work that we did. So then after that was completed, they provided us with a list of 37 corrective actions and steps and recommendations that we can take to strengthen our response capabilities. And that all leads us to where we are today, where we are starting the process and have started the process of implementing those changes and also sharing this AAR with our governing body and the community at large. I pulled this from the report because I think it really shows that, even independently, that we did a really good job here in Hamilton with our response to COVID-19. And I'll just read this for everyone. Hamilton Township's management of the COVID-19 pandemic was largely effective, with most credit going to the leadership, staff, and partners of the township. These three groups were critical to the township's successes and ability to overcome challenges that arose directly from COVID-19, as well as related supply chain shortages, fiscal matters, and external bureaucracy. Effective leadership at all levels supported a collaborative approach to managing the township's response. Regular communication of priorities ensured steady progress. And I think this really sums up nicely, our response to the pandemic, and it really was just solid teamwork, and it's something that is strong here in the township, not just here in the division, but also within the leadership and across the different departments that we worked very well together. As far as next steps go, it's planning. I think this was really our biggest gap was, we had some outdated plans that needed to be updated. So we've already started that process, and we've updated our existing COOP, the continuity of operations plan, continuity of government plan, and our risk communication plan. So those existed, and we've updated them to match the corrective actions and recommendations of the consultant. Development of SOPs or standard operating procedures, continuing having memorandums of understanding with our partners, continue to foster relationships with our response partners, and development of new plans and rewriting existing plans. So all of those are steps that we're taking actively right now. One of those, another plan that we had to submit and was a key component for accreditation was our strategic plan. So we tried really hard not to have it, whether it's just public health or it's just animal shelter. In the eyes of accreditation, all they're looking at is public health, and not even clinical public health, but really kind of like, big picture public health, or public health in the background type items. But we know that's not all the division does. And a lot of the, what our goals and objectives in the strategic plan are kind of overarching, just good management type stuff, and really knowing where we're going in the next couple of years and moving into a new building, taking that into an account of how we can be best prepared to do that move and do it efficiently, and then also continue to just, be better, providers of services in the community. So again, super quickly, process very similar to what we did for our COVID-19 after action report. We were able to onboard a consultant to help facilitate that. So whereas in the COVID-19 after action report, where the consultant took a more heavy approach, or really had a bigger time of writing it because we wanted to kind of be independent, we took a step back. This we were, step in step with the consultant and making sure that we were there and that the goals matched what we wanted and what were needed for the division and for where we're heading. We did hold in-person meetings, both with the division and also with the mayor's office and administration as well, because that was a requirement for accreditation, is to make sure that we have buy-in of the direction that we're heading from management and from the mayor's office. Just quickly, as far as our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats go, or a SWOT analysis that was conducted. Strengths: being well organized behind the scenes, positive relationships, creating strong, effective team communications, and diverse staff skills across the board. And I think that's something that we have both on, again, the health and on the animal shelter side. As far as opportunities go, again, new building means new opportunities for community access, and also kind of leveraging what that building means and what services could be provided there in a better way, or other shared resources. As far as weaknesses go, and I wouldn't look at these necessarily in terms of like true weakness. It's almost that, we know that we're managing these, and they're part of what it kind of goes with threats, is that, as far as language barriers and, that kind of block, efficacy and equity, we know that we're having more residents who, speak other languages than English. We have language line as an availability, but is that really the best way to deliver those services? Probably not, but at least that we're still able to move forward and maintain and delivering those services.
That's true.
Isn't tight. And then balancing the management of priorities. We know that, we're delivering good services. People expect a lot from us, and we have a high bar, and we want to maintain that high bar. But sometimes that means that there is just some stresses when it comes to prioritization of tasks. And that, again, just kind of piggybacks off of where we are with threats is, there's strained resources just due to the excess demand of services in town. And really, we have that trust, integrity, and responsiveness. But because we have that, those, kind of characteristics within the community, it does tend to sometimes overwhelm our capacity. And again, that's on the animal welfare and healthcare side or public health side. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but basically this is what our strategic plan is, and our steps and our goals, basically looking inward and then looking outward of where our focus is over the next couple of years. And the big buckets really being streamlining for the move, which could just be, very basic stuff of just making sure we're digitizing records retention, stuff like that. That way, we're ready to go. Leveraging leadership, empowering employees, and prioritizing sustainability as well, and
Chris,
looking for more funds.
I'm sorry, just two quick questions.
Yes.
This is across the entire Department of Health, right?
The division, yes.
The division
so
of
health and public health, or public health and shelter.
And what prompted this?
So this is
like introspective. What prompted this whole?
Yeah, I mean, at
process?
the end of the day, it's a requirement for accreditation. So we have to have this in place for accreditation, and it's one of the main plans. So if you have to have the strategic plan, which kind of outlines where you're going. But then part of that then it needs to align with the community health improvement plan. So that way, all right, these are the target and the areas that we know that as a community, this is what their health priorities are. And that's what we're working with all of the health departments and the hospitals in the county. We do a collective community health improvement plan. So we're all moving in the same direction there. So it all kind of has to align. So that way we're all moving. Again, the department's moving
and this
ahead.
was conducted by 35th Street.
Yes.
And the other one with EPS was a response to just how we performed during the pandemic.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was so the AAR is looking backwards. This is looking forwards. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, just
I know
clarify.
I'm throwing a lot at you.
No, it's good.
Not yet.
Again, it's similar to what I just said as far as next steps go. Implementation, we're in that process now of implementing it. We'll receive the community health improvement plan from the county. We do that through the Greater Mercer Public Health Partnership. That is due by the end of this year because the hospitals are on a 3-year cycle because of the ACA or the Affordable Care Act to have that community health plan in place. So we piggyback off of what they're doing, and it really, I think, provides a much better, more effective health planning process for us all to be aligned on that regard. So the end of the 3-year period for us here in Mercer is this year. So we'll have going into 25 a brand new chip. So once that's adopted, we'll have that posted and shared to council and to the residents as well. And then monitoring. That's what the biggest thing is, just with FAB and everything else that we do is documentation. So we have to make sure that we are monitoring, and we actually have a kind of quality improvement, performance management software that all of these metrics and goals that go into, and that all the staff and the different divisions are able to track, whether it's monthly or annually, where we stand for all of the different goals. And we have our grant objectives in there, the monthly stats that I give Director Fitzgerald, and all of our annual report data all goes into that system. So it's kind of all housed together. And then everyone's favorite part, animal shelter update. So where we are, we have 40 dogs currently. On site, we have 36 runs, which means we have 4 dogs in, if I did my math right, 4 dogs in crates. This does include court holds and new arrivals, so that is if you are looking at our website and adoptable animals versus animals on site, that is where sometimes the discrepancy comes from, is that only the dogs on the website are the ones currently available for rescue or for adoption. That goes for cats as well. We have 59 cats on site, including new arrivals. And then we also have 26 animals that are in foster. We don't have 26 bunnies. We just have one rabbit right now. And this just kind of shows you over the course of the last number of years, just our average daily count of animals has increased year over year. I mean, for the most part, cats has basically been the same year over year. Where we're really seeing the increase is in dogs, but even just little increases on both sides does compounds and adds to each other, and that's where we see in 24 that we're having our average daily count is exceeding 100 animals. So addressing concerns, similar to what Director Fitzgerald had said in our opening statement, we're here. We want the feedback, but we want to also help address it. And if anybody has concerns, please reach out to us. As we're going through this accreditation process, again, it's not just on the health side, it's on the animal side. And we're trying to do this continuous quality improvement, but it does take time. And it also really needs a kind of cultural mind shift among employees, but also stakeholders of like getting into that change and wanting to better ourselves and just really buying into it. It's, and just having that mind shift shake. This is what we do on the health side. This is kind of our quality improvement process: plan, do, check, act. So basically making sure that we're not just doing things for the sake of doing it. We're planning things out, we do it, we check to make sure that it's working how we want it, and then if it's not, changing action or changing how we need to do it, and then it just goes in a complete cycle, and it's never really finished. We're continuously making sure to see that we have that we can be improving. And those are little things that can take place. For example, we did just recently the animal bite reporting form. We used to get dog bites reported to us in 15, 20 different ways, depending on who was sending it in, when they were sending it in. So we worked with staff. We looked at other examples in the community. We developed a new animal bite form, and we've sent it out to all of our partners, both vets, doctors' offices, hospitals, to get their feedback, but then also to get them to start utilizing one standardized form. And within a week, where we know that we're getting it back, and it's now on not just the 15th copied version of the form that you can't read anything. We have fillable PDFs on the website. They can print them off themselves, and then we'll also be delivering hand copies as well once those come in. As far as our rescue partners in 2024, we've had 5 organizations pull animals from the shelter this year. That includes chickens, dogs, and cats. But those are the 5 organizations that have pulled animals from us. We have also worked with BARC, which is not necessarily a rescue partner, but it is a board and train facility who has really helped us a lot and is fostering animals currently for us. And then has also, when we needed offsite boarding, has stepped up, and we did use them as a vendor to board some animals offsite. And we've also placed dogs into their board and train program, and we've had good success. And I think we've had two dogs who went through that program then that were ultimately put into a permanent situation, which is great, and it's something that we're looking forward to continuing to work with them in the new year as well. And as far as total organizations that we have contact with in regards to rescue partners, we have about 75 plus organizations on our listserv that we, when we need assistance, that we do ask for assistance from those partners. And we make that list available to residents if they're looking to rehome their animal, as well. That's the same list that we give to residents should they need it. And this is just snapshot of the contact info and who we work with. But if anybody, wants this list, we can make that available, and we can probably put, if it's not on the website already, we can make sure that it's up on the website. As far as our volunteer program goes, the great thing is that we are seeing an uptick in, over the course of the year, of the number of hours of service on a monthly basis that volunteers are generously giving their time to the shelter, which is great, because all of those hours of service, do equal real in-kind donations of support to the shelter and to the township that we otherwise don't have to, pay out of pocket or use taxpayer dollars for. So we're very, very appreciative of that. Since August, we have 35 active volunteers, basically volunteers that have been active since August, so that's 35. Of those, 19 are dog walkers. We've had 21 new volunteers come in since August as well. Not all of them are necessarily have been active since they've come through orientation, but we've at least had 21 individuals who have come through orientation and are considered an active, or I should say a volunteer. Whether or not that they've since volunteered is a different story.
So we have 21 new volunteers in 2024.
Correct. Since August.
Oh.
Yeah, so that'd be August through November.
That's pretty good.
We have 16 active cat volunteers, and then we have 19 volunteers who do both cats and dogs. We are still looking for a volunteer coordinator. Unfortunately, our primary and secondary pick for the position both withdrew their candidacy for personal reasons. So that is something that we are still on lookout for. So if anybody is interested, we're looking for somebody with animal experience who would like to work about 10 to 12 hours a week, really getting our volunteer program up and running to the best of its capability, and exploring more ways to engage both our residents and then also the volunteers. And we've continued to have ongoing discussions, on the shelter management side of how we can best utilize our volunteers, and we really want to try to see if we can get volunteers to take over or at least be a part of that adoption process and processing adoption applications, meaning, as residents or prospective adoptees submit applications, utilizing our volunteers to then go call the references, call the landlord, call the vet office, learning a little bit more about what the potential adopter is looking for in an animal, like what kind of qualities that they're looking for, what behaviors that they do not want to deal with, just so then that could be a good touch point for the volunteers, and something that will help take some time off staff, and in reality, moving our adoption process along a little bit faster than what it is now, which will be very helpful. Just because we had gotten some questions about summonses issued, so this is just a quick breakdown of the number of summonses issued. I believe it totals up to 69 or 70. The vast majority is failure to license. I would expect that this number is going to go up because at this point, at the end of the license year, anybody who is still outstanding will just get a summons. We've also had a number of, the second one, it would be dogs running at large, which is the second highest as well. And this is about on target for where we were last year. So they're about, I would expect probably the same amount of summonses issued last year and this year together.
Hey, Chris, are those summonses issued by ACOs?
Correct.
Or?
Yeah, by ACOs. So just some improvements that we've been able to work on over the last couple months since we've last had Board of Health. I know that parking, we have a small parking lot, and that has been an issue that has come up. So we have reserved 3 spots for potential adoptees, so that the sign shop did these great signs for us. So we're very happy with them. They were if you're looking at the, I guess, the old side of the shelter, we have our handicapped accessible spot, and then it's the 3 spots next to that. We've also directed the staff to the ACOs to move the trucks, so their trucks are no longer in the parking lot during operating hours unless there's a need for them to be there, and otherwise they're moved either to the lower lot or behind the shelter. And then also asking staff if they're able to park on the street, or again, when the weather is nice, to park in the lower lot as well. As you can see, right now, I took this photo yesterday. The kennel cards are up there. We are in the process, and Danielle, I don't know if anybody, we got a recommendation for newer, more heavier duty, I guess I don't know what you call these, well, file holders that have 4 points of contact instead of the 1, and they're a little bit sturdier, and there's a zipper, so hopefully they'll last a little bit longer in the weather, and then with the dogs that don't get pulled down, and they also won't hopefully flop in on each other. So they're all, we finally just got these in, so they're all now printed, and they just need to be hung up, which will happen this week. But, you know, as of right now, they have all the runs have signs, but that doesn't mean come tomorrow with the wind, dogs chewing them down, that they will all be up there tomorrow. So if they're not there, you know, there's a little asterisk there for that. As far as dispatch issues go, we've worked with dispatch. We've resent them. We've been in communication with PD. I know that there's been some turnover and new staff hired there. We've resent them our ACO call-out policy, so they all should have that. But we know that, you know, as new folks come on board, that there are still some confusion, but, you know, we've been working with PD to try to address those concerns as they come up. Again, the website is updated, and as of today, has been, everybody has a bio, all of our animals are up, they have photos. So we're happy that that is something that, you know, we're moving a little bit faster on as well. And our ACO coverage, just as a reminder, we do have 7-day coverage, minus if there are call-outs, obviously that's an issue, or, you know, holidays, you know, then it would just be the on-call schedule. But right now, during the standard non-holiday week, we do have ACOs on staff 7 days a week. We also have additional 2 animal attendants who are have their ACO certification and can go out as well as if needed. So that kind of also helps with like Sunday or other hours. If the ACOs are busy, we do have other staff, and it just builds the pool for call outs as well, which is nice.
Chris,
Yes.
as you continue on, this is a lot of information, and which is great.
Yeah.
But are you going to make this available?
Yeah, I can send
on
it.
the website, just so that
Yeah.
folks can go back afterwards and look over some of the information if they didn't get a chance? All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody, you know, again, needs the explanation, they can always contact us. But then I know that the clerk's office also posts the video recording online, so they can always refer back to that as well. But yeah, we'll make sure that this presentation is available. As far as in progress stuff goes, and I put this in here as to say that not that it's not being done, but it's not at the point where I want to say just check and we're completed, we can move on to something else. But, you know, we know that behavior modification is something that comes up regularly. You know, what I can tell you, and the same thing with assessments, we're trying to, and we have moved staff around to free up staff time to better, you know, make sure that these are happening on a more regular basis. But even though, you know, there might not be a full standard formal behavior modification program for every single animal, just because our resources right now don't allow for that, we do know, and I know, and I've seen it myself when I've been there, is that the staff does, you know, mention to, and they, you know, volunteers when they're walking dogs, and they give them like little tricks and tips to, you know, help, whether it's, you know, making sure that the dogs are, you know, they have better manners when they're walking on a leash, helping them with, you know, distractions, or helping them, you know, if they're positive reinforcement, making sure that if they're jumping, that you're not reinforcing that, you know, the jumping. So while it might not be these, you know, full-blown intensive behavior modification programs, there are there are things that are happening, on a daily basis, as it can be, to make sure that, there are behaviors that are being worked on, that things are, dogs are being socialized. There are pack walks that happen, as staff has time, to make sure that, the dogs are getting socialized, as they can be. Again, going back to what we, with Bark Institute, we have had success with the board and train, and that is an intensive month-long process of behavior modification and training that goes into those animals. So that is also something that, we, again, want to continue as well. Dog walking. So the requirement for dog walking is that, crated dogs have to get walked at a minimum of 20 minutes a day. Obviously, we know that they need more than 20 minutes, especially considering that they're being in a crate. Right now, every single crated dog has a exercise log on its, either whether it's on the crate or next to it, but it's, specifically for each dog. The staff member who takes the dog out, or let's say if the ACOs have the dog just out in the office, it should also be noted on there that, X dog was in the office free roaming for a bit as well, just so it's not just in the crate the whole time. Again, and also their volunteers, when they take dogs out, do also log that. The question is always, are we getting every single dog out for a walk every single day? No, because we don't have the resources to do that. And, dogs do get walked. We try our best to get as many dogs walked as possible. And now that we have less dogs in crates, that does allow the opportunity for more dogs that are in runs to get out. But my legal requirement and our legal requirement at the end of the day is those dogs in crates have to get walked, and they have to get walked multiple times a day. The dogs in kennels, there is no legal requirement for that. So it's just we have to prioritize where our resources are put. And, as we have less dogs in crates, that means more dogs in runs that can get walked. And we want to, and we are getting better at documenting behaviors and other items in Pet Point. It's something that the three of us consistently, tell the staff that, even if they're walking and they behave, they had a really good walk, and there was a behavior of, that was good, whether it was good or bad, that's something memorable or mentionable, that stuff like that gets put into Pet Point, not that just, there's nothing for months on end for these dogs, because I recognize that that's a problem, and we want more information in Pet Point, in the animal's record, really demonstrating who they are, and if their behavior is getting better, that we're documenting that, and then their assessment or level can change, or vice versa, if they're, regressing, then that's also documented and put in there. So that way, if any, when we have to, have conversations or make decisions, we have a true picture of, what's going on over the last few months, or however long the period of time is for that animal in question. So projects that are still pending, kennel resurfacing. This is something that is imminent. I'm just waiting on a start date from our contractor, but it has to be done by the end of the year. So between now and December 31st, it needs to be finished. But as you can see, our runs are taking a beating. We had our runs, all 36 runs were resurfaced in 2020. And they were also had repairs done within the 2 years following, because there was a 2-year warranty on that process. But it's just not holding up. So hopefully with this new, they're sanding down and sandblasting the entire walls, 4 feet, 4 feet on each side of the runs. And then we'll be doing a new epoxy coating on that, and then also repairing the floors in a handful of kennel runs that have either serious cracking or they're degrading and they need some serious work. So that's something that we're very much looking forward to, but everybody should know that obviously we can't have the dogs in there when we're doing the resurfacing, so we will be kenneling off-site, and this will be a 2-week project, and we'll do one side first and then the other. So we'll have about 16 to 20 dogs in off-site boarding at any given time once this project starts. We do have other capital projects that are in the works as well. We have in capital to put in a dishwasher and a new commercial washer dryer, so that's something that is in the that's in the works. We need a shelter vet for 2025. We don't have one at this point. We've gone out to bid twice. Nobody has responded. Our current vet is unable to continue just for just too busy. She took a new role at her practice and just does not have the time right now to commit to us. Same thing with the vet who helped out temporarily last year as well. They're both just don't have the professional time to commit to us. We have reached out to all of the vets within the township and surrounding communities, but we understand that the vets are very busy, and they just don't have the time to take on an additional 500 animals a year in their practice to be our shelter vet. So that's been an issue. I already talked about the volunteer coordinator. Phone upgrades, I know that that's continuing to be in progress. The generator is, my understanding, is just pending permits. So that should be something that should be moving along in the foreseeable future. And again, just with the volunteer coordinator, the volunteer program, expansion program is kind of tied into that. But the two biggest things that for me is a concern right now is really the kennel resurfacing and the shelter vet, because those are two things that we do have legal obligations to make sure that they are completed. But we're doing the best we can with the resources we have. And we know that there's always room for improvement, and we're trying our best and we are doing our best to, not even trying, but we are doing our best to continuously make improvements. And we are listening, and we're acting on it. But we also have to prioritize and use our resources as we can to make sure that we're fulfilling our legal obligations, but then also making sure that the welfare of the animals that we have in our care are as best as possible. And with that, I hope I didn't kill anybody by PowerPoint, but
No,
I'm open to questions now.
no, you did save a few trees, though. No, I just want to thank you. It was extremely comprehensive. You always give a thorough report, but it was beneficial to, I'm a visual guy, so it helps me to see, some of the statistics in front of me and just the process that, you're dealing with on a variety of different fronts. I thank you for being proactive on, especially some of the issues at the shelter that have come before us over the last several months, but even before that. So I think that, it shows that we're trying to make some progress on a variety of different fronts. And if we get that accreditation, it would be amazing. Before I hand it off to my council colleagues, I just wanted to ask, when do we typically are we going out to bid for the vet opportunity for 2025 now? Is that something that we're doing now, Kath?
We did it in September and October.
Okay.
So now at this point, we can go, and Kathy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we can go to direct negotiations with, if we do find a vet. And we did interview someone, we just have to, they're not available for the full year, but we're just waiting for a yay or nay if they're willing to move forward. So, at this point, I don't have anybody, but we at least have a prospect, which is good. But until we have it in writing, TBD.
Okay. And then my council colleagues may be aware, especially Councilman Papero. I know you know this process fairly well, but do we typically, are we actively reaching out to these organizations? How does it typically work?
As far as the rescue part?
Rescue part.
Daniel, do you want to, I think you can talk about your process.
Thank you, Daniel. Daniel.
So periodically, when we're over capacity, which has been a lot of the year, or if there's a special needs animal or special breed rescue, I reach out to rescue organizations for assistance. We get a lot of unable to help, a lot of responses that are unable to help just because they're also over capacity and unable to take it on, and anymore. Many of the organizations are foster based and lacking foster homes and such but that's just the general list, but it's the same list that we share with when we receive calls for someone that needs to surrender a pet, and if we're over capacity, I give them this list for them to reach out to other organizations as well.
Okay.
All right, that's helpful.
So, just looking at our Facebook page, there's a lot of dogs that are posted on there when they're found, but how about the dogs that are in there that we're trying to get adopted? I'm looking all the way back as far as October 30th, there's not one post.
Sure. Still, I'm currently working on promoting more adoptables.
We're trying to sell a car, we're not gonna not post it, right? We're gonna
Right.
keep posting it so
Yes.
more people view it.
Yep.
There's not one since October 30th.
Yeah, we're working on that along with the mayor's office. Ava's been helping us with, photographs and things like that.
How much longer do we think that's gonna take to get moving?
It's a continual process, so you should see results immediately, but obviously it's something that's fluid and has to be done on a regular basis.
Go ahead.
Real quick, first off, Chris and Kathy, everybody involved, the PowerPoint presentation was very helpful. Like the Council President Carabelli said, actually seeing it and being able to follow along was very helpful. Kind of backtracking almost what Pat just said, Councilman Paparo asked, was as far as information, like evaluation timeline on animals as they're processed. Cause it seems like that's been like an ongoing complaint, right? What is the timeline usually? You receive an animal on, the first of the month. What is usually the process before all that information is up, whether it's on the kennel placard or online, that this dog or cat has been evaluated and, so it's updated to the public?
Sure. I realize there's been a gap previously with a number of animals that have been coming in as staffing issues as far as getting the animals evaluated. Some animals can be evaluated much sooner because they're easier and more adoptable. Other animals may be less willing to be handled by staff, may be fearful for whatever reasons or have issues. So the staff does give them a bit longer to make a formal evaluation, but we've been addressing that with the staff internally to expedite the process. Typically, ideally, I want them done, after 7 days or made available for adoption. Sometimes they're not available for adoption till they get spayed or neutered, but more often than not, because we've been over capacity, we're sending those animals who are evaluated and still not spayed or neutered into foster to adopt until that's done. Ideally, it can be done after 7 days, but it does depend on staffing and the animals, specifically the animals and their, I want to say, behavior.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Some of your staff.
Right, as Chris spoke, we've reassigned some of the staff, so what they're tasked with doing on a day-to-day basis, moving some of them into different responsibilities or roles so that I can free up other staff to get these assessments and whether it's behavior modification, walking assessments, get those things taken care of in a more timely manner. So trying to utilize their skill set more efficiently.
I don't want you to think that we just focus on the negative things. Looking at these posts, the amount of work that you've put in to get us where we are, the fact that we just had dogs that were adopted after 1,000 days, 584 days, and, you've worked hard to get them. So I know, I think I speak for everybody. I think we all commend you on that. We could all appreciate that being animal people. I just think that, I'll just speak for myself, the more we get these animals in front of people, it makes it easier for somebody to fall in love with the dog if they see the dog or the cat. And that's, I just want to, get more FaceTime, maybe it draws somebody in and says, hey, maybe I can take that dog.
Absolutely. That's one of the things, too, I cover with our volunteer orientation when I speak to new volunteers and ask them when they're out, and whether they're out walking a dog or they're with the cats, or if they can capture a short video or some photos and to share that with me so we can use them on social media, because that's very helpful. Obviously, nobody wants to, that's why Ava is very helpful from the mayor's office. She can come in and take good photos instead of and Steve shares when he takes the animals out for the day, he shares his photos. So those are very helpful in showing a different side of the animal. So getting that input from everybody is helpful.
Thank you for
So, Kathy, Chris, Danya, I want to thank you guys, thank the mayor. This presentation today is just an example of the increasing transparency that we see from this health department under your leadership, Kathy and Chris, and very appreciative of that, thinking about the increase of the level of vital services that have been provided over the time under your leadership. You know, what wasn't getting done compared to what is getting done now. In this time, the resources that collectively council and the mayor have made available to you, we continue to have those discussions, right, about what more we can do to help you fulfill that mission. But the pursuit of the certification, I think, really just has kind of spurred you to a level of excellence in the service and the transparency that you've been providing throughout the entire health department that the township hasn't seen previous to this. So I'm just really pleased with the efforts toward that certification, the continued progress that we see. And that certification is going to prompt you to want to maintain that certification. So there's going to be a need to maintain this higher standard that we're seeing. So all in all, just really a great report tonight. Obviously, there are ongoing challenges. The animal shelter is always going to be a tough challenge for us. And it's something that, you know, we're always going to have those discussions about where the resources are they being allocated properly? You know, the important thing to me is I have a high level of confidence in the leadership of the health department and Danielle at the shelter, the leadership team that we have, you know, leading those efforts, right? And is it ever going to be perfect? No, it's never going to be perfect. But I do continue to see that, you know, the efforts are being made with the resources that we do have available to, you know, get the best possible outcomes. And, you know, my experience with family dogs is when you don't walk a dog, they start to misbehave pretty quickly. So I do think it's extremely important that we do everything that we can to get as many dogs, as many walks as possible. I understand when you have this many animals and this many employees that it's hard to do that. But I do think you can prevent a lot of behavior issues by making sure dogs are walked. And I know that's an ongoing effort that you're making and that we are overpopulated, and every animal that you add to the census adds X amount of man hours that need to be devoted to the care of the animals. You know, but again, I appreciate the efforts that are being made, the improvements that are being made. I'm very glad that the dog runs are going to have grass finally. That is great for the dogs. So thank you.
Yeah, I just also want to, it's hard to follow Councilman Ty, but I also want to say thank you to each of you, and Chris, that's a great, that really helped to see the visuals and see the clarity and transparency and all the hard work that you guys have done over the years. We've seen such an improvement and, you know, getting through COVID and beyond, and now I'm happy to hear that we have less dogs in crates. That's great. And like Councilman Papero said, you know, we do see on Facebook, you know, some of these dogs that are getting adopted that have been there for so long. So obviously you're doing something right with those dogs to get them adopted. I was going to ask about the time it takes for the evaluation too, but that was already asked. As far as social media, do we have like one person who handles that, or is that like a volunteer we can have so that it can be more active?
Myself primarily, but
so that's falling on you to do that. Is it possible to have a volunteer? Maybe he's like savvy with social media.
I think we talked about that as a possibility once we get, right, as part of the improvements too, and growing a little bit the volunteer program. And when we get the volunteer coordinator, that's something that we want to consider so that it can, free up Danielle, and maybe not completely, maybe it's done together,
Mhm.
right? That type of thing, and they sort of each do that. So, because I think, and again, I agree with everything you said about all of the good things that are happening, but as Chris pointed out, there's plenty of things that we can monitor and do better or continue to do better at. And I think, especially posting on social media, that's one of the areas that, we need to do a little more often. And, maybe a lot more often, and because that's going to be really successful in helping get the fosters and the adoptions, so.
Yeah, and you already, Danielle, have so much on your plate. We know that, so to put that on top, so. that's
And
what's-
I'll just piggyback
Yeah.
on that. So yes, Danielle does have a lot on her plate. When the animals or the dogs or the cats need that physical care, it's Danielle who has to leave the
Yeah.
job she's doing in order to do that. But that's why we put our heads together to see what other volunteer tasks we can give, such as vetting some of the applications, getting the information so that they can pass on a more detailed application to the staff, relieving some of the staff that does that to assist with social media. So it kind of all works hand in hand. So although we aren't perfect, like Councilman Tice said, the job that she has done with social media compared to where we were is 180 degrees. So, and the number of live rescues that we have shows the care that we're giving the animals, even those that are long-term residents, the best care that we can give, and we'd love to get them out sooner. But unfortunately, there are a lot of animals that are being surrendered, dropped off as strays, so to speak, due to the economic problems that we're having. So we understand and we appreciate your patience with that too. And we all work together with Danielle to try and get those photos up, get those bios up every day, get those kennel cards up so that we do promote adoptions in the most efficient way we can. So thank you.
Yeah, I just want to commend you for all. I mean, obviously, we're on the right trajectory, and that we wouldn't be there without all of your hard work. So I just want to thank you.
Takes a team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, stupid question that maybe isn't so stupid. What about doing, we have the message board, like the billboards, the electronic billboards on the highways. What about having around the town, are there grants that we could put, because, having one of our first responders here in the back, kind of brought it to my mind. If we ever had emergency situations, we needed to get message out to residents, hey, just, traffic is closed for whatever reason. It's nice that people can get it to their phone, but what about having a message board around town? Just a couple that the PD or fire department could put a message out. We can use them during the day when they're not being used for emergency situations. Is there any type of grant that we could look into to maybe pay for something like that?
To get another electronic billboard, you mean?
Yeah, even if it's on a smaller version, right? Putting it on the busier type roads.
Possible.
Maybe we can put one up in front of the other storage center where the
So I
municipal.
do know we've taken advantage of the around town signs that we have for our different events. And when we're not in Oktoberfest and Winterfest, right, there's a couple of corners that we've had the big signs on there. They were actually came out very nice, and it was regarding adopt, from the shelter today. So, but you can really accomplish maybe even more by having it, movable and move it around to different areas and have that, sure. We're looking to
Just a thought.
And I'd also like to commend the mayor's office and Ava for promoting on her township newsletter that goes out. She usually highlights one of our shelter animals in order to get more advertising on that animal to help promote adoption. So we're grateful for them. They work with us all the time to try and help improve that.
Okay, well, I appreciate your report. Now I'm just going to open it up to,
I'm going to switch out the podium.
okay, I'll switch out the podium. If you wouldn't mind just taking a seat, if there's any questions that pop up from the public regarding the Board of Health, you can be here to help us in responding to some of them. Thank you.
Oh, geez. Shows how slow I am.
Oh, great. Any questions or comments from the public regarding the Board of Health's presentation this evening? Yes, Lisa.
Lisa Williams. I don't really have any questions. I just want to take the time to thank Chris for reaching out, Kathy for suggesting it, Danielle for doing all of the work. It was a very good presentation. I do appreciate your time and effort, and thank you. I know I complain when there are issues, and I want to publicly thank you for this presentation. Also, it is now November, and I will make my plea that I make every year this time when you're reviewing the budget for the shelter. Please consider adding staff to support what they need to do. You know, we hear the number of animals are high, we don't have resources, but we are a town of 92,000 residents, and our animals deserve really good services. And you could up the staff for a year and get everything under control and not fill vacancies if you don't need it the following year. So I'm just making my plea, when you're looking at the budget, please make sure that the staff is sufficient to support the shelter daily operations as well as ACO coverage for the community. Thank you. I appreciate your time, guys.
Thank you, Lisa.
Just for the record, myself and Councilman Ty tried to get more staff for the past 3 consecutive years. That's it.
And that's all. I just want to also commend the team here that for reaching out to some of our volunteers. I appreciate that. That was very proactive in your approach. They're the folks that know the shelter inside and out. So, anyone else wishing to comment? Yes, Steve.
Steve Clegg, Wolfpack Road. Listen close, because I don't do this often, but yeah, it was a great. This could be the one and only time I say this. For the first time in 8 years, 6 years, you know, I'm sitting here trying to think, what can I get up and complain about? There's not much. The few things that I did have, you know, conversations with Chris have improved communication a lot and still continuing. But usually when I talk to him, it's him telling me the issues I'm about to bring to him. So that's what stands out to me. So I'm going to bring up an issue that he and I have not specifically talked about or not already on the agenda to talk about. One of the things I emailed all of you about was unlicensed kennels in the township to stop backyard breeding. And there is no law against breeding, so it is an unlicensed kennel issue, and the health department's been phenomenal. If I get him the information, somebody's out there in less than a day, and they follow up, they check for the licensed dogs, they give them a warning. But the catch is, they don't want to, I guess, impose fines on somebody who had one litter. But the catch is, the flip side of that is, you can't ever do anything until they have a litter. So to kind of help him or help us, because any dog coming in a shelter is one too many dogs, for other enforcement actions, you know, not wearing your seatbelt, drunk driving, Township puts out a warning and a notice, we're going to enforce this, and that's their one warning. And perhaps maybe something like that for unlicensed kennels or, you know, other issues that might be affecting the intake to our shelter could help, you know, cut down on this. Unless
That's a good suggestion. Yeah, I like that a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Kathy, is that something we can consider? Like just to put something. Okay, I saw you writing. Any other comments? Seeing none, health team, you're free to go. I appreciate the presentation this evening. We'll make a motion to adjourn, and then we'll reconvene as the Hamilton Township Council.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Yes, 5-0.
Now we need to reconvene as.
Oh, I thought that was a motion.
Oh, is that covers everything? All right, good. All right.
Next for your consideration are the minutes of the September 17th, 2024 regular council meeting.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Communications, we have C1 through C4 for your consideration.
I make a motion to recognize communications C1 through C4.
I'll second.
Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Next, we have consent agenda items CA1 through CA14.
So I'll just give a quick summary on today's really short consent agenda. We only have 14 items on the consent agenda. We have a resolution, CA1, that's transferring funding from and to. This doesn't increase our bottom line, it's just transferring dollars throughout a few divisions and departments. In addition to that, we have a grant for Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over. We're adding a vendor to the Hunterdon Co-op. We also are adding a vendor to the New Jersey State Approved Contractors list. We also have a resolution supported regarding safety improvements along 129 corridor. This is the removal of a crosswalk potentially at Layler and Route 129. Thanks. There's also a PSA professional services agreement for in 2025 for water pollution control sidewalks and markouts with Roberts Engineering. There's also litigation attorneys, environmental litigation attorneys that are also being put forth before us this evening for a PSA. There's a settlement of certain tax appeals. There's also a decrease of roughly about 75,000 in a street project on Genesee Street with Barrett Paving. There's also a not to exceed of 136,000 to purchase Division of Fire Responder PPE uniforms. We also have several refunds, fire permit reimbursements, a release of performance bond at Twin Ponds, and a refund of overpayments for real estate and sewer taxes. So that's it tonight. So anyone wishing to comment from council regarding tonight's consent agenda? Anyone from the public? Just the consent agenda items. Seeing none, can I have a motion?
I make a motion to move on consent agenda items CA1 through CA14.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Next for your consideration, we have ordinance 124-042, an ordinance of the Township of Hamilton in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, providing for acquisition of computers and/or laptops for the Department of Information and Technology end-of-life cycle project, fully funded by capital improvement funds in the amount of $50,000. This is second reading and public hearing.
Any comments from my council colleagues?
No.
Any comments from the public regarding this ordinance on second reading? Seeing none?
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to move on ordinance 124-042 and close public comment.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Ordinance 224-043 is an ordinance of the Township of Hamilton in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, providing for improvements to the township's wastewater treatment system and for the township appropriating $5 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $5 million in sewer utility bonds or notes of the township to finance same. Second reading and public hearing.
Any comments?
Can we talk a little bit about what we're spending this money on?
Yes, I'm happy
There's a-
to. So this is the full replacement, not this, this is only a piece of it for the full replacement of all 48 RBCs that we have. Don't ask me what RBC is, I know what it does. Oh, there you go. Rotating biological, what?
Contactors.
Contactors. Those are the big things inside that process, right?
Grind.
Yeah, they process a lot of what goes through there, everything that goes through there. So, but anyway, they're gigantic, and we have to replace all 48 of them. We're doing them probably 2 to 3 or 4 a year. So right now, in fact, I think this week, we're replacing our first 2 that you've already approved, and so they're showing up there. I'm sure that Director Foyer will be providing us with photos and all kinds of exciting things to show us the progress on this. But this is for the next wave of them. They're very expensive, obviously, and so we're doing this over many years in order to get them on a cycle to replace them.
Extremely important.
They are.
Yep.
Any questions from the public? Seeing none?
Council President, I'll move, close the public portion and move on ordinance number 224-043 on second reading.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Next is ordinance 324-044, an ordinance authorizing the Township of Hamilton to enter into an agreement for the acquisition of 1755 Roberts Avenue. Second reading and public hearing.
This was an additional property that was adjacent to the properties that were impacted on East State Street with the fire that impacted. And this was also a property that was impacted by the fire, correct? Or was this a property that was in our best interest just to acquire it?
It's
Behind
behind,
it.
and just based on where it is, it's in our best interest to acquire it because it now gives us that back portion.
Okay.
Which, depending on how it's used, can be used for parking, maybe some off-street parking.
Gotcha.
Or something else. So that is why we acquired it, because we think it'll just give us a little bit more space.
Okay.
Yeah, this is part of the ongoing effort to redevelop this property in Bromley. Having the access from Roberts Avenue as opposed, in addition to East State Street, is just going to increase the options for what we can do when we build some modern, affordable housing on that property.
Any questions from the public? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Council President, seeing no members of the public wishing to comment, I move that we close the public comment portion and move ordinance 24-048 on second reading.
244-040.
Ordinance 24-044, excuse me, on second reading.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Ordinance 424-045 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Township of Hamilton, New Jersey, Part 3, Land Use Legislation, Chapter 550, Land Development, Article 1, Title, Section 550-7, Definitions, and I lost my place, and Article 3, District Regulations, Section 550-73, RRC, Rural Resource Conservation, and R25, Single Family Residential Districts, and Section 550-74, R15, R10, R7, and R5, Single Family Residential Districts. This is second reading and public.
So, yep, sorry.
Yeah.
So this specifically outlines the patios and the shall adhere to the area and yard requirements of accessory buildings, and they shall only be located in the rear of the yard and should not exceed 25% of the total of the rear yard, area of the rear yard. Anything else that I should be aware of on this, we should be aware of?
Yeah. So I was surprised to learn that we didn't already have a regulation in place for patios. I know this was spurred by, we had some discussion with residents recently regarding swimming pools being constructed and the amount of impermeable surface that was creating problems for neighbors. When you create more impermeable surface in your backyard, it may create a problem for your neighbor, vice versa. So this is a way for us to regulate how much impermeable surface a resident may construct within our regulations, and thus protecting everyone from additional runoff. And it always perks my, kind of it always catches my attention whenever I see that the rural resource conservation zone is included in any changes that we're making for our ordinance. But the only change here is that we're regulating how much patio people can build in their backyards. That's really it. Previous to this being passed, if somebody wanted to pave over their entire backyard, they could do it. Now we're regulating it. We're limiting it to 25%.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public? Lisa?
Wasn't a question.
Comments?
Lisa Williams. I just have a quick question. As I know, I read it and I just want clarification. We have a building area coverage calculation for residential. Commercial uses impervious surfaces. So we have building area coverage, and I don't remember all the numbers, but say it's 30%. Does this patio, is that part of the 30%, or is that in addition to the 30%? Like your house and your shed or your detached garage, that would be building area coverage of 30%. We don't include in a residential how much your driveway is or your patio. So now, is this the 30% for building plus you can have 25% of your backyard as a patio, or is it 25% of your backyard as a patio is included in building area coverage?
It's in addition to, right?
It's the first one that you said, so it's
In
in addition to.
So you have, okay. I
So
just
we're not
wanted to understand.
touching what you're having for your home, because this is gonna be outside. It's still part of your home, but it's outside, so we're telling you 25% when you're outside.
Right, but your house.
Of the yard, 25%.
I know, but say your property is 10,000 square feet. And I don't have the things in front of me, but say your building area coverage is 30%. That means your house and your shed or your detached garage plus all your sheds can't cover more than 3,000 square feet, 30%. So now, is the patio an additional 2,500 square feet that you could cover, which would give you 3,000 for building?
And it has always
2,500.
been thus. That's always been true.
No, I know, building area coverage
We're not-
has been. We've never had anything on patios. This came
Right.
up.
We're making it less that you can do an impermeable surface on the property. We're reducing the amount of impermeable surface that you can have on the property. Right now, prior to the passing of this ordinance, you could pave 100% of your property.
And this came up when we were trying to get people to get permits for widening driveways in Golden Crest, and the neighbor who stood up against somebody wanting to widen their driveway, his entire backyard paved with pool and pavers, but he wouldn't let his neighbor widen the driveway. But Mike, I get that you're saying you can't pave your whole property, you can only pave 25%. My question is what you're allowed to have covered in my fake sample of 10,000 square foot property, 30% building area coverage, 3,000 is your house, your detached garage, your shed, are we then saying you can patio 2,500, the 25%, for a total impervious of 5,500? Is that what we're saying?
You got it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood it.
You
In case I
understand.
want to build another patio. Thank you.
Still will need to go in front of planning board, correct?
Possible, depending on
Well,
what
yeah.
you're putting back there. but
Right.
yes,
You have to get a
Yeah.
permit. I don't know if you'll have to go to planning board now that it's
For
legal.
widening driveways, right, that was just explained, that example. If you're widening a driveway, it needs to go in front of planning.
Beyond what's allowed. So now you're gonna, well, now, you always needed to get a permit. Now if it's beyond the 25%, you would need to go to planning.
Right, but if you're
You
doing
still
a
have to get a permit.
20% patio,
Always.
if you're complying with our ordinances, you shouldn't need to go before planning and zoning.
Always.
Right.
You submit your building plans to construction, they make sure you're complying, they say pull your permits,
Right.
have a merry day.
No, I didn't bring it
No,
up.
this is just for
I'm just
patio.
using her
It's
example.
just for patio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just patios.
Just patios.
Just rear yard, it doesn't.
Right, let's say side yard.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
Could be a loophole.
Anyone else?
It's always a loophole.
Somebody out of
That's
side yard. That's why they call them Philadelphia.
Can I have a motion?
Wait,
Go right ahead.
so to answer Lisa's question, it's not just 25% of the entire yard. If you read the portion, it's in excess of 25% of the total area of the rear yard.
Rear.
So it's not going to be 2,500 square feet that you can then, that you could make patio. It's only going to be whatever your rear yard is, 25% of that. I just wanted
That's
to
right.
clarify.
Thank you for clarifying, Jen.
Which
That's right.
makes it better.
That's right.
Yeah.
That helps. Yes.
I just want to ask a clarifying question. So of their backyard, the patio can be 25%, but is that exclusive of, say, your pool? You know, can you consume your entire backyard between pool and patio and some other structure? Are we limiting
It's only
the impervious surface of the backyard to 25%, or only specifically if it's a patio?
specific to patio, and it has a definition of the patio in the ordinance.
Right. So it could be, you know, you could have your patio 25% and another 25% with a pool and.
I'd have to look up what the pool.
It's the 25% of the total area of the rear yard, regardless of what's there.
So regardless if there's a pool there or not. Correct.
It's in addition to the pool
It's in
right
addition.
now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Council President, seeing no other members of the public wishing to comment, I move that we close the public comment portion and move ordinance 24-045 on second reading.
Second motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Carabelli? Passes 5-0. Ordinance 124-046 is an ordinance amending and supplementing an ordinance fixing the salaries and other compensation of the officials and employees of the Township of Hamilton, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey. This is first reading and introduction.
So I just want to mention here, I know it's only first reading and introduction, but this essentially allows for a lower entry salary for the ranges that are established for tax assessor, tax collector, and municipal clerk. That isn't, it's not increasing the range, it's just for that lower entry into the salary range. So I just wanted to mention that.
Council President, I move ordinance 24-046 on first reading. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Ordinance 224-047 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Township of Hamilton, New Jersey, Chapter 228, Fire Prevention.
Council President, I'll move 24-047 on first reading and introduction.
Second motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Ordinance 324-048 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of ordinances Hamilton, New Jersey, Chapter 215 fees, Section 215-1 municipal clerk.
Council President, I'll make a motion to move an ordinance 3 in introduction and first reading, 24-048.
Have a second.
I'll second it.
Sounds good. Roll call.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Ordinance 424-049 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Township of Hamilton, New Jersey, Part 3, Land Use Legislation, Chapter 550, Land Development, Article 3, District Regulations, Section 550-73, RRC, Rural Resource Conservation, and R25, Single Family Residential Districts, and Section 550-74, R15, R10, R7, and R5, Single Family Residential Districts. This is first reading and introduction.
Since it's first reading, I'm just want to mention, this is for a cottage food operator. So there's a licensing at the state level. There's not a permitting process now that we haven't established here. So this just allows for those individuals that have our cottage food operators, a license for that, to have a permit as well to proceed with their operation at their house.
Enables us to regulate it.
Regulate it, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Council President, I move ordinance 24-049 on first reading.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Who got that?
First, and then,
Okay, thank you.
Shadi was second.
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Ordinance 524-050 is an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Township of Hamilton, New Jersey, Part 2, General Legislation, Chapter 485, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Traffic Regulations, Section 485-34, Speed Limits.
Council President, I'll make a motion to move on first reading and introduction for ordinance 524-050.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Resolution 124-411 is a resolution referring proposed amendments to the Code of the Township of Hamilton, New Jersey, Part 3, Land Use Legislation, Chapter 550, Land Development, Article 3, District Regulations, Section 550-73, RRC, Rural Resource Conservation, and R25, Single Family Residential Districts, and Section 550-74, R15, R10, R7, and R5, Single Family Residential Districts, to the Hamilton Township Planning Board for review pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-26.
Now, this is just referring this over to review by the planning board, 24-049. Any questions from my council colleagues on this?
No. So this is regarding changes in speed limits?
No.
No.
This is cottage food operator.
Oh, this is for the cottage food. All right.
Any questions from the public? Yes.
So, Pfeiffer Spruce Farms, living in the RRC zone, representing North Crosswicks Friends of Open Space. First of all, what is the cottage food industry? I don't even know what that means. I mean, I thought cottage cheese when you said that, you know what I
Do you
mean?
want to try
Are they
to-
making cottage cheese?
I had the same
in there?
question when I saw it too.
There are individuals who have like small businesses out of their homes, and a lot of times if they were going to sell food items, they had to go to an industrial kitchen, a commercial kitchen.
Okay,
The state law has changed where certain people, when they pass certain inspections, are now allowed to do their businesses out of their home and out of their home kitchen.
so if they're making pierogies in their
Yes,
in their
it's-
kitchen,
yes.
and then they're planning to sell them commercially, there's a process now that allows them to do that and-
Correct.
and for them to be regulated.
Correct,
In
on the
other
state
words.
level, and
Okay.
so we are now updating our ordinances to comply with what the state is now allowing.
Okay, well, that
because
sounds
the-
downright innocuous, actually.
It is. The way it works is that all of our ordinances, especially on the land use side, if
Mhm.
it is not expressly permitted, it is not allowed.
Yeah, sure, of
So
course.
what we're doing is we're making sure to expressly permit it,
Okay.
because there are several businesses here in town
Mhm.
with individuals that are doing this. And so we want to make sure that we're in compliance both with
We
state
get them-
law and
yeah.
that that's what this
Regulated
is
here,
changing.
That it's under control.
That is correct.
And of course, you know, our organization is concerned about the rezoning, possible rezoning of the Radvenny tract, which is like, I'd have to like consult whatever it is, but.
Which you're
2712,
welcome-
Lot 51 and 52.
You're welcome to come back up and talk about
Oh,
that during
great.
public comment.
I probably will.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Mr. Reparo? Oh, sorry.
I'll move on resolution 124-411.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call?
Mr. Reparo?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Ty?
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli?
Yes.
It's 5-0. Resolution 224-412 is a resolution of support for Mercer County's reduction of speed limits to County Road 524 South Broad Street, Yarville, Allentown Road, Zones 1 through 4, County Road 535 Nottingham Way, Edinburgh Road, Zones 1 and 2, County Road 652 Nottingham Way, Zone 1, and County Road 672 South Broad Street, Church Street, Zones 1 through 4. First reading and introduction.
So this,
Oh, no, it's an ordinance.
so this resolution. So this resolution is just referring 24-050 for review and consideration by the planning board. So any other questions by the council child?
No, sir.
Bless
We're
you.
on 24-412.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
So this is just a resolution of support. This doesn't have to go to planning board. So the county has changed, are you on?
You're the
Yeah,
last
you're right.
one.
Yeah,
You're right,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so the county is making changes to several different zones and streets within the Township of Hamilton due to some studies that they've done and also to complaints that have happened based on how the speed limits that they're reducing them. So what they're asking this board to do is to agree with their changes, this would then go back to the county to then institute those changes. This is not something that would then to take further action within the township.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Jen. Anyone else wishing to comment?
I'm pleased to see a reduction in speed limits off the township.
We hear it.
We've seen too much.
Too much speeding.
Anyone else wishing to comment from the public? Yes, Janice.
No, it's enforcement, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, Janice Clark, 432 Trinity Avenue, Cornell Heights. What were the speed limits and what are they being reduced to? I mean, especially Nottingham Way.
You have them, Jen, in front of you. I'm calling it.
It does have Nottingham Way.
It does.
It doesn't tell us
West of Nottingham Way from Edinburgh to God knows where?
just says reductions, and we don't have any supporting
Jen's looking.
collateral in our kit.
35 from East State Street to Paxton.
Where'd you find that?
Yeah, but it doesn't give.
Is it in here?
It gives you the old ordinance with the old speeds.
Why don't I have that?
I can't find it here, but from my recollection,
Oh, it's
most of them
before
were
the
going from like
resolution.
40 to 35.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we
It
go.
wasn't drastic changes.
No,
but
nothing,
it-
now they're like 25, something like that. not
Only in
40
a
to
school,
25.
in a school zone. So
Oh,
any
a school
place
zone
where
would
it
be
was a
25,
school
yeah.
zone that already had that limit of 25 miles per hour, that was not changing. But outside of that, Janice, if I remember correctly, because I wrote a bunch of ordinances this week,
Take this and go down all them
it doesn't
streets
say
and
here,
check
but it
those
was
curves.
in here somewhere, sorry.
There's one stretch of South Broad Street in Yardville that'll be reduced to 30. The other zones that they're reducing along South Broad and Church out there will be 35.
Okay.
So if it's more than 35
Yeah.
through those residential areas, that's pretty fast.
It does say, yeah.
So,
It's the 25 that drives me nuts, like especially Paxton Avenue. Paxton Avenue is like a kind of main thoroughfare. That should be like 30 instead of the 25, I would think, but.
Small neighborhood with a lot of kids and a lot of.
Yeah,
people.
that's probably what it was.
Make it 15, then you can get them to go.
But it seems like it's such a main drag,
There are a couple places that are dropping probably from 45 to 40 and then from 50 to 45.
Oh, okay.
So it seems as though I believe everywhere there was a drop, it was by about 5 miles.
Oh.
Like I said, the zoning area where there was already a school zone, if it's already a school zone and it's 25 miles an hour, that is the exception, so it will remain that in that portion. But for the most part, that's what those changes were.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Good job there, please.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jen.
A section.
Yes, Eileen.
Lavender Way and County Road 524.
Hi, Ellen Coyote. This just as had come up, next thing I was gonna just tell people is that on Nottingham Way, where I live off of by Greenbrier, it's around Sunset where that whole stretch until you get down to Saul's funeral home used to be 40. And what's really weird is, I don't know when I noticed it, maybe a year ago or so, around Sunset in Nottingham, it says 30 miles an hour, and right across the street, there's a sign that says 40 miles an hour. So I was wondering if we could just get that changed back to 40. But
oh, that's, that's a county road. It's County Road 535 out. Actually, hold on.
On Nottingham Way.
Nottingham to Edinburgh is 535. So I don't know about the stretch you're on.
no, it's from like St.
Through
Greg's.
Hamilton Square?
I believe they pave it, don't they?
It's from St. Greg's down to Saul's funeral home. It was 40 miles an hour.
We'll figure it out because if they're inaccurate speed limit signs, we need to fix that. So we'll figure it out.
I got stopped. I told the couple, look across the street. It says 40.
Just so I understand correctly, if I'm going towards St. Greg's after I pass Saul, going towards St. Greg's, is it on my right or is it going in the other direction?
It's going the other directions from St. Greg's going to Saul's. It's on the right-hand side, it's the 30, and right across the street, it's the 40.
Yeah, we just need to.
So, going west, it's 30, going east, it's 40.
We either need to address it or if we need to send something to the county. If it's a county, I don't know.
We gotta
Nottingham Way,
clarify.
Use that.
County Road?
We'll check it out.
It may or may not be certain sections.
We'll
that-
clarify.
Yeah, we'll clarify.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
No, okay.
Yep.
I'm not doing nothing more, I'll take a ride.
I'm thinking it's
That's
where
right. That's right.
it's around where it
I
switches.
think I know where it is.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
Okay. So, do we have a motion on that resolution? Did we pass that resolution? No, I'm so confused right now.
I'm confused.
Getting late.
Yeah. All right. So now let's have
We
a
need a
motion on
motion.
the resolution, please.
I'll move on, Resolution 224-412.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mr. Reparo.
Yes.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
Mr. Whalen.
Yes.
Mr. Ty.
Yes.
Mr. Carabelli.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
That brings us to public comment.
I'm gonna excuse myself.
Yeah.
You know, get
Go ahead.
Yes, yes, go right ahead.
Oh.
What happened?
Ed, you're up again.
Okay, so Ed Pfeiffer's First Farms, kind of a township here for North Crossix Friends of Open Space. So North Crossix, we're concerned about the possible rezoning of the, what was called the Red Benny tract and what we know as Back Creek Farm, which is block 2712 and lots 151 and 156. For the obvious reasons that it's very, very consistent with the Rural Resource Conservation Zone, which was created to protect land like that, of course. And so I just thought I'd call it to your attention once again, okay? And we are very concerned about it. We'll continue to watch and see, what's going to happen with that. And you may see a lot more of me here at these meetings. I don't know, as we move forward. And metaphorically speaking, I just want to emphasize at the risk of, metaphorically, right, at the risk of beating a dead horse, basically, I'll be back, but that's, So, thank you for your, attention to this and your patience. And, so we'll be just, keeping an eye on it and plan to, follow through if it comes up for a hearing to be rezoned.
And we have good news for you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We fought it in court. The project is dead. So there's no current proposal. Yeah.
Well, that is great news.
The proposal that you were concerned about, the warehouse proposal, is dead.
Well, what about the rezoning of it? Is that still a consideration?
We're not, there's no proposal to rezone
Okay,
that the
okay.
council is considering.
Yeah, that was really my question. Has there been any project talked about that's for that area? Has there been any rezoning? Because I haven't heard anything. I see a bunch of signs put up.
Yeah.
But I have yet to hear of a project.
So we put signs up all along that road, and one of them was don't rezone, leave alone, and kind of like the Burma Shave, commercial ads that you used to see on the highways. I'm dating myself. But, we kind of thought that was cute. And so, we're maintaining that really, you don't have to do anything on this. It's not costing the township any money, but if you it's not costing anything at all just to leave it in the Rural Resource Conservation Zone where it belongs. But we did have a conversation with one of the owners, Rad Benny, who's still, I guess, part of one of the realty groups that owns that. And he says, I'm getting lots of offers. I'm getting lots of offers, and I'll die before I sell it to conservation or something like that. Is what we heard, which is unfortunate. But so it'll probably come up again, and we'll probably be here again just to visit and say hi.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Ed.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next up, we have Ellen Coyote.
Hi, y'all again.
Hi.
I sent you my notes again and picture, and I don't know if the video works because I'm not tech savvy. The most important thing was to show you guys the ordinance that's on the books that the police officer who talked to me on the phone, I forget what day. I believe it was November 7th. But anyway, on November 9th, 2 days after the zoning guy told him that it wasn't allowed to do what he was doing. He was blowing leaves at the border of the woods, further into the woods. And I figured, when I heard the leaf blowing, I figured that's what he was doing. So I went down there to videotape his insanity. I was like, because nobody's going to believe this or me. Also, approximately November 2nd, after I got the video and was going back home, his dumping bunny was there also. Number 24 crossed his arms and came within an inch of my face. Our noses were about an inch apart. He was no doubt was trying to entice a physical fight. I turned away from him to go back home, and he blocked my leaving. He got within an inch of my nose again, and I just wanted to push him back, like, from my personal space, but I was like, no, I'll be accused of starting a fight. So I did the only thing I could with him within an inch of my nose. I shouted at the top of my lungs. I figured I'll make him deaf. But his dumping buddy was there with him and kind of grabbed him by the shoulder and said, either leave or get away from the bitch. And his wife was yelling at me something from the kitchen door as I was leaving. I went home a couple of times that I had to go down there to video his illegal activity. He stops now, the leaf blowing, goes off the township property to his property line to get his cell phone, and he starts videoing me. And I'm like, fine. And so I walk home, and he follows me like halfway. But one time, I believe it was November 2nd too, I went back to finish cutting my lawn, and I don't know, 10 minutes later or so, he was 10 feet behind my fence videotaping me, and I'm like, I don't care. It's like, I'm not doing anything illegal, and I feel like he's just trying to intimidate and harass me. But he's failing to obey the law since the Public Works Department letter went out, help us help you. And the only time he's been told to stop the illegal dumping was by the zoning guy on 11/7. And no one really besides the zoning officer has told him to stop and desist. Sorry. That was a Freudian slip. The first cop that came April 21st didn't directly engage him, only 24, and they were 20, they were there both there on the day the first cop came out, and he only addressed 28 because they were behind his property. But number 24 knew it concerned him, but he got to be a coward and he walked away. But after the cop tried to give him the complaint thing, he goes, I don't need it, give it to her. And then number 24 just kept saying, just take it, doesn't mean anything, doesn't. So when I watched the upper tapes, I knew they weren't intending to stop anything. But anyway, the letter didn't change anything. When I asked him about 2 weeks ago, I said, I keep wanting this answer, and I never got it. He always blew me off, so I was like, let's try one more time. And he came in halfway out to his lawn. I said, can I ask you one question? And it's like, why don't you go a third of the distance to bring the brush to the curb? And he just cuts me off again, being so exasperated and livid, and just says, stop it, and go home.
Ellen, you
Yeah.
know what, can I bring you back up just for
Yeah.
another 2 minutes? I have to let someone up.
Yeah, okay.
And then we can respond.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, Janice.
Okay, Janice Gladys, 432 Trinity Avenue, Cornell Heights. Are we, like, the voting came and went, there was no results. Nobody knew what happened. Is the township supposed to put it in the paper, or is the paper just supposed to put it in?
Well, there's a what, for election results?
Yeah, because like the who Board of County Commissioners, nothing was said. We know Andy Kim got in, but the other guy, nothing was said about this Herb Conway for U.S. House of Representatives who got that. And so I had no idea. And same thing with the school board. I just heard by word of mouth, who won the school board. I just thought there would be some kind of notice in the paper or something.
I gotta be honest, I haven't had a chance to check the final results either. Usually I go to the clerk's,
County clerk.
They're all on the website.
County clerk
I go right
website
to
has
Allison.
township.
No, I'm joking, I'm joking. I take that back.
The
I go right
county-
to the county clerk, Paula Solomon Cavello's website, and usually there's a link there.
Oh, yeah, you're
that-
talking to the computer queen here.
Oh,
Well, yeah, so that's a good question. For someone who is not on the internet, how do they get those results these days? And, I mean, I would think contact the county clerk is still the best way to go. You could call the county clerk.
Coach, I was just, thinking, all
You would
this-
think the paper would.
The paper would, I mean, I
You
knew it
would
would be a
think.
problem to have Lawrence Ewing and
Yeah,
us in
they used
Robbinsville.
to.
But what I mean, it'd be nice for the public to know, what happened.
what happened?
You know?
You're right.
So, and then I saw when I thought, well, I can get on the Hamilton website and see if it's listed on there, but it wasn't before I came here. But then I saw where you guys opened the municipal building. You had the
Yes.
opening of that. But that was yesterday, and it wasn't in either paper today, so it would be nice if it was, the paper should have covered it, had
The groundbreaking was a couple weeks ago,
Oh, were
Jess.
were
Yeah.
you doing that?
We can't control what the newspapers.
Oh, see, it would be nice if that went into,
Yeah, there
would know
was
that
not
it
much
even
coverage
started.
on that either.
No,
Oh, okay.
No.
wasn't.
Not even dressed up.
There were cameras.
Jody wore a necktie.
Jenny even had a necktie.
Okay, well, just be, nice that people know these things,
Oh, you were right.
Because, I mean, that's phenomenal, though. Hey, it got started because I come to all the council meetings, my friends and all think I know everything, and so, and between that and the school board, but, it would be nice, because people are going, I said, I know when it's going to be done, it's, 2026, and it's supposed to get started this year, sometime in the fall. I knew that much, but, now I can say, well, now it's officially going to be started, so that, it'd be nice, that's a nice public announcement that, we're on the road to getting it going.
Yeah.
Well, the meeting's over. I can take a look with you to see if we can find it together.
Okay.
All right? Let's do that.
I was gonna say, Allison, could we put a link on our clerks, like for the county clerk?
I can see and speak to IT.
Yeah, and that doesn't solve the issue for folks who aren't on the internet.
No, but I know if she navigates the Hamilton site, I'm just thinking of an easier way. Because I've had trouble too,
Yeah.
even like Googling,
Yeah,
trying to get the results and same, I had the same issue trying to find an accurate count.
yeah, you used to be able to just look in the paper the next day and
Well,
see the
everything started,
results.
the next day you looked at the
Now.
paper, there it was,
Yeah.
You know what was going on. Of course, now the Trenton Times is going completely digital as of February 2nd.
Yeah.
So, but since the Trentonian will only be the page of paper.
Funny to think, right?
Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Lisa.
Lisa Williams, I have a crosswalk question. In the past year, we've gotten these amazing crosswalks at Mercer Street and on Hughes Drive, crossing from Sayan Gardens to Applegate.
Mhm.
You press a button,
Yes.
you have nice flashing lights. I mean, my dog and I almost got hit on Mercer Street, even with that, but still. Most people stop. And at I don't know if it was last meeting or one before that, Tammy raised the issue about the crosswalks at Flock Road and how people just go around or and like they don't even stop and somebody's, it's dangerous. And I don't really pay attention to those crosswalks too often just because I don't cross there that often. I mean, we have occasionally. I'm curious, who paid for those flashing lights? Like, I love the one on Mercer Street. And can we get them in other places in Hamilton? Like Flock Road and Hughes, it's very hazardous to cross. Nottingham Way at Aberfoyle is hard for people to cross now, especially since Aberfoyle is a massive cut through to avoid the traffic lights on 33. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other places that are very hard to cross. Was that a grant or how do we do that?
That's a good question, Lisa. I remember having a conversation with Sam Brown about this. I forget if this was, I think it was a grant.
Some of them were grants. We've done several with the flashing signals. Young's and Colony Drive, Hughes Drive and Applegate, Mercer Street and Hughes. I'm just trying to think, there was a couple others that we did too. And at the same time, we're upgrading not just the flashing signals, but upgrading to the ADA ramps that are required and all of that. So I think it was a partnership of partial payment by grant funds, and then the rest from the township.
I'm just wondering if we could look to try to put more of those. You know, it is difficult to walk around.
What are the two locations you just said?
The most recent
Block
ones,
and
you said them. It's Mercer and Hughes. So you cross from Sayin Gardens over Hughes. That's a regular crosswalk. But then when you want to cross to go to the other side of Mercer Street, it has the flashing lights. That's where we almost got hit this weekend. But, you know, it was 2 cars stopped. The third one decided he was going to blow right through, and I was just stopped, and I looked at him. I think he saw me look at his license plate because he put his window down. He's like, I'm so sorry.
Wasn't a guy in a white Tesla, was it? No. I go by that way all the time.
And the other one is Sayin Gardens to Applegate. You know, like the old Hoagland's area.
Yeah.
So you can actually cross there. But if you go further up Hughes to Flock, that's a little difficult to cross if you want to go to, what is it, Dam Site 22? My dog
21.
took me there.
21.
All right, sorry. It was the first time I had ever been there. I just let her.
Beautiful, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, and like other places, like Aberfoyle and Nottingham, that's hard for people to cross.
Yeah.
I mean, people park even, like, it's hard to make a turn there because people park so close to the intersection. I was just curious if we could find a way to put them in more places, not.
We'll definitely put it on the list, but I think it's been a continued effort to try to increase pedestrian safety. And if Ms. Duffy was coming tonight, and because she sent us an email as well, and we'll respond to that. But there's been a lot of different traffic initiatives that are trying to address some of that, because, you know, unfortunately, we have had a few fatalities with pedestrians and vehicles, and so that's not normal, and so we haven't had a normal year for that, but it really caused us to take a hard look at some of these areas and try to increase the pedestrian safety, so we'll keep doing that.
Park, that'd be a good spot for one of those. We had a fatality on Park. We've got the grammar school and the high school there.
We talked about that one a lot, so, okay.
And Alito, I'm going to add to your list. Alito.
I think it should be all over the township. I just know where I walk
right.
and where we try to cross busy roads, but I don't think that it should just be my neighborhood. I think it should be all over the township.
Yeah, well, agreed, because it's not, you know, just one particular area that we have some issues, so, but as we look at them, we like to get, right, some of the recommended areas, because that might help us prioritize it, because we can't do them all at the same time, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good suggestion.
Alito, from the Freedom Village to the library. I think that
Oh, yeah,
would be good to have an enhanced crosswalk there.
yep.
Okay, anyone else wishing to comment? Ellen, do you want to come up for your remaining 2 minutes?
Just to finish what he was saying, he told me, stop and go home, that this is going on for months. It's really only been a month and a half for him. It's been a year and a half for me. And I know leaf pickup is going on now to December, so they won't even pick up brush. And I understand that. And this also concerns number 28. And I was just thinking one way to go is they be notified by certified mail. They have to sign and give it back to the township, acknowledging they received the letter, just telling them to remove the brush and give them like to January 15th. Or Public Works will have to do, and they have to be allowed access through their properties. And that Public Works, when they go there, won't have to ask that letter to be signed, giving, in case they destroy property. They just give them the go-ahead, and if they cause a problem for letting them get back to their property, then the police will have to come out to force to leave Public Works alone. And then fine him if necessary, give him his only second warning. The first warning was on the 7th, 11/7, by the zoning officer. And because the first and second set of street cops and 2 detectives, to me, didn't do their jobs correctly, and basically were giving him a pass. And so no one's, except this building officer, has come right out and said, you can't do this illegal dumping. And so I'm here today to get more information on how this bad situation is going to be resolved. And I was wondering, Mr. Whalen, did you hear back from Director Thomas? Because I've been emailing him since September 3rd, and I never got a response from him.
I can answer some of those, right? Because I know that you went out and visited the site after the last meeting, and you had said that nobody's been out there since, but that's not entirely true. So, but we had 2 of our Public Works employees had gone out there. I don't have.
No,
the
I
date.
didn't say nobody's been
Well,
coming
in
back.
your-
I haven't been not getting knowledge that
I'm not
anybody's
here to
done.
argue with you, but in your letter that you sent to us just before this meeting,
Mhm.
you talked about going to the council meeting. Your very first line says, Mr. Whalen came out on 10/17, and I haven't heard a peep, and no one's been there since. So, but again, they have been out, and they're trying to address it. Right now, our Public Works team did make contact with the one resident, I believe at 26, and...
Oh, she's not even involved.
Well, again, it's right there on the whole property, and maybe I got that date wrong. However, they were able to obtain permission for access to the back. They're going to go back, assess it, clean it up if necessary. They're putting signs out there that identify the ordinance, that will help anytime future officers have to come out for anything, because the ordinance is right there. So they've been notified through the ordinance and through the signage that's there.
Excuse me, who's been notified?
Anyone that is in the vicinity of that park will be notified by the signs that say, there's no dumping, this is by ordinance, and I don't remember the citing of the ordinance.
Something's going to be put up on the trees?
Signage, yes, that's correct. All right. They're going to have signs there that state no dumping or littering, and they're putting the ordinance number on there, and they're posting it there so that hopefully will provide a way, anyway, to enforce that ordinance and to make notification, as you had suggested, to make notification to them. So we're trying to get a handle on the situation. I have forwarded your video as well to not just the zoning office, but also to the PD.
Oh, it did work? You were able to open it?
So I didn't view the whole thing,
Oh.
but yes, they're going to take that, and that investigation will happen as time goes on. So, but at this point, that's the way that we're trying to handle this. Get it cleaned up. I think that's important. If there's debris out there, that Public Works had been out there back in August and cleaned up quite a bit.
The 3rd, and I was there doing the work with them.
Yes, I recall. And you had, pictures of all of that was pulled out of there. So, but again, I don't know what's been put there since, and...
Oh, no, it was already what existed, the brush they had dumped, and they wanted to bring that through my property. And I'm like, he's always claimed that they have connections, and I think they know the mayor too. So to me, nothing's...
Everybody says that, so
Yeah.
just in all fairness. But regardless, right, we have a team that's coming out. They're going to assess whatever's there. They're going to clean it up, because now they have permission. They have access from one of the residents there, and maybe I got the number wrong. Maybe it's not 26. Maybe it's 24 or 28. I don't remember.
It's 24 and 28.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I think just,
Go ahead.
not to debate this, we own a lot of different properties that abut up the residents' homes throughout the township. And, from what I can see out there, it's almost like they feel that our property is an extension of their property.
Yeah, sure.
Right? And it happens. So I grew up in that neighborhood, so I had friends that families abutted some of our properties, and they clear it out or whatever. They are storing other things there besides, I could see on the other side of the fence, so to speak, they got firewood stacked, which is, in my mind, doesn't bother me too much. right? But beyond that, they've got a snow blower, they've got grills, they've got other stuff that's stored and covered that probably, it's on township property and should be removed. I would think, in all fairness to the residents, that they get a time frame of when they should have that removed, and if not, then you take the necessary,
This is all perfect
measures to
information
correct
go
it.
with it. Yep.
But I'm sure this happens throughout the township in many areas, Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the video that I'm looking at, are you videoing it because he's blowing leaves onto the property?
From the from his property, the leaves come, and from the township property that he cuts, he's blowing it further back into the woods.
The leaves?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can have an extra fire hazard.
That's what I was thinking about, especially since we're in such a dangerous
Just trying
time.
to figure out what I was looking at because the guy puts a leaf blower and runs away, so I.
Yeah, he went to go get a cell phone now, so he videotapes me.
So,
It's fair.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I sensed an annoyance from when you said it. so I
No,
went to
not at
get
all,
my
not
photo
at all.
thing, And I just said,
I apologize if
yeah,
you got
when
that
Mr. Whalen
impression.
came out, I haven't heard a peep. I
Okay.
didn't say no one showed up, and I wasn't aware of that.
All right.
So it would've been nice to just send me an email or something that this is what's being done, so just be patient, Because he's ready to physically fight over it, and God knows what
Yeah,
else.
I really don't, I feel bad about that. I don't want you to, get injured or something because you care about what's going on there. So I would just say be careful with that.
So I'm sorry that you're having a problem with your neighbor. I want to thank you for bringing to our attention the issue that you see with people really dumping on township property. You're right, it shouldn't be happening. And thanks to your reporting that, they've gone out, they've looked at the problem. There's a course of action now. So the township is taking action to address the issue. And hopefully that'll solve the problem. Hopefully everybody who lives near this property or adjacent to it is now on notice that they can't do that. And hopefully it will not be a problem in the future. If it continues to be a problem, we'll be here. And, I do appreciate your effort to address the issue. And I'm confident we'll hear from you if this is not adequate to address it. But it does sound like we're taking measures to address it, and now we've got to give that a chance to solve the problem.
Right, and exactly. But also this additional information as well as your information. I want to make sure that, it's not just our Public Works crew going out there, that we have others that are going out there, particularly if there's plenty of other things that are still being stored on that property. They should have been cleared off of there. If they haven't been, that needs to be addressed. So, and this way the signage will get up and that will get done as well. And I don't know if I'm on your email string, and I really apologize. I did not mean to come off as annoyed. I'm not annoyed at all. We address, this all the
Yeah,
time.
I went and asked and looked up your name to get and called Hampstead to get your email address, because you look surprised you didn't have the information, so I CC'd everybody.
Oh, I'm glad. So I was going to say, continue to do that. And as you said, I'm sure you can contact the council as well at any time. But if this continues on, or there's other things that happen, please don't hesitate to, put it in an email or get it to us right away, because I view those
I
all the
wasn't
time.
aware that I know something really bad's gonna happen now, that he's had was friends with him for 22 plus years.
Yeah.
And saying he can't put his lawnmower and stuff back there, all the stuff he's got, he's gonna be really pissed. And, I didn't have a problem with that. But, yeah, again, when he pulls the lawnmower, it could all go up. But,
Ellen, I gotta cut you off, though. So I think that we have a path forward. Councilman Ty mentioned it. I think that, Kathy, let's just communicate with Miss Coyote and
CC me.
yeah, just keep
If I
you.
understand correctly, someone from Public Works has been out there, and so
They were out there already, but they're going out again. The crew is going out again.
Okay.
Because they got permission to get access back there
Yeah, I'm
through.
curious from who. Okay.
I'll find out that, and I'll respond to the letter that you sent to
Okay, I
the
appreciate
council,
that.
and I'll be on it as well.
And so Public Works will be doing the work to remove it.
That's correct. But I
Okay.
also want to make sure there's others that are going out there, because if there are still,
But if
you
it's
know,
personal, if it's
violations.
personal property, I think the township would be able to say that you're gonna have to move this
That's correct.
onto your property and give them a timeline that they have to do it.
Absolutely.
And if not, the township has to do it or remove it, then it might be I don't know if they're allowed to assess them.
Oh, yes, they are.
Right? So it'd be at their expense. That's-
Trespassing.
Going on a little while. Has the zoning officer been out there yet?
So I think zoning has been out there maybe once before.
11/7, they never came, the first time I called them months ago, they said it wasn't their job. It's the police job, and they just were going like
It
this.
goes back and forth sometimes.
So they only
It's not
came out
always clear.
11/7, and he tried to dismiss it like the detective, that it wasn't a big deal, because now even the leaves have fallen, it doesn't look that bad. But,
Right.
he was like, and one of his comments was, he was like, it was like, so what? Everybody in Hamilton does it. And I'm like, that doesn't make it right.
Wow, yeah.
And then he said, everybody around here is doing it. I said, no, they're not. It's just these two guys.
All my neighbors are putting their leaves on on the curb.
Oh, yeah, that's why I
Like
said
it's
the
legal
picture
to
of
do.
comparison. I
Yeah,
believe the
so
only
not
leaves
everybody's
that
doing
came
it.
from somebody else's tree, and he just bunched them up, so it was nothing. But you can see what the next door neighbor did, because she put it on tarps and pulled it out like you're supposed to. So, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll
We'll
know
follow up with
to be
you,
vigilant
certainly.
to my property, because I don't want him to poison my dogs or something, because I know it's gonna get bad.
Okay.
I hope.
I hope not.
All right.
Thank you all.
Shouldn't, but unfortunately, yes. Gotta be,
I know him now. I didn't know he was a
careful.
narcissist, but
Just be
I found
careful.
out the hard way. Okay.
Thank you.
very
I
much.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Anyone else? Council?
no, it's the chief. Or you know
Oh,
what to do.
I just want to acknowledge that Steve Kramer's in attendance this evening. Thank you, Steve, for being here. Our acting chief. Thank you. Councilman Perry, you want to start us off?
Yeah, just want to say thank you to my team here. Obviously, I always thank the residents, but in this time where I believe this is our last meeting until Thanksgiving, so I just want to say thank you for being good teammates. Thank you. I think everybody brings a little piece of a puzzle together, and hope you enjoy your time with your families, and that's it, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you. Councilman Whalen?
I'll keep it short also. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I thought it was a great presentation tonight by our Board of Health. I thought the PowerPoint was great, and like Councilman Paparo said, this is our last meeting in November, and I wish everyone to have a safe and happy Thanksgiving with your family and friends, whatever you're doing that day. Be safe and enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll just say, we had a great Oktoberfest. Once again, kudos to the administration for, and the health department. I got my flu shot at Oktoberfest, something to look forward to at an event. But just another example of the outreach and the services being made available. And with that, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, a happy and safe and healthy holiday season.
Thank you.
I also wanted to say, thank you. I'm very grateful for both our administration and our council team. Before we know it, the year's going to be over, and, but I think it's, we've had a good year, and we really welcome all of the public who come and bring these issues before us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be aware of them. I want to commend the Health Division for their great presentation as well, and all the hard work they're doing towards the accreditation. I think that's something to look forward to, hopefully in 2025. But again, I just want to say thank you, and I just really appreciate the clerk, Allison and Brittany, and just hope you have a good holiday season.
So my colleagues captured everything that I really wanted to say. All I got to say, though, is you only have 2 more meetings with me as your president. So down to the wire here. That's all right. That's all right. Yes. But I just want to, once again, just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy with some family and friends and a little football too, if you like football. So thank you all for coming out this evening. See you at our meeting in December.
You better stay the preacher forever, though.
Yeah.